Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I thank you all for joining us in what is a different venue than the traditional setting for this address. We're also moving at a different time period than the traditional setting for this address. Today is one of the great reflections of the community partnerships that we're building. If you have the chance to go into the University Center, bands from all across the region are here for a regional band competition. So I thank you all for joining me here in the auditorium at Brown Hall as I provide the State of the University address for the 2014-15 academic year. The point in time is different than in years prior. With the suggestion and leadership of the Faculty Senate, we utilize the welcome as an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of our faculty to East Tennessee State University. Today provides an opportunity to reflect upon accomplishments, but also to note some of the initiatives that we will embark upon as we move through the 2015 calendar year. In preparation for today's address, I've spent considerable time reviewing the work A University Story, 1911 to 1980, by Frank B. Williams. Williams tells the work of our institution, a university dedicated in service to the people of Appalachia, an institution that has pushed back against popular sentiment and political expediency, and an institution that has historically fought for the needs of the people of East Tennessee. In the lobby outside of my office is a collection of photographs. These constitute a silent tribute to leadership. I look at these pictures at the beginning and end of every day. They're portraits of my predecessors. I study them with amazement, with respect and gratitude, realizing that each of these individuals, in their own particular way, worked tirelessly to advance our institution. Every single one of them was committed to our mission. For example, Sidney Gilbreth, in an early address to the faculty, declared that while the purpose of the Normal School Law of 1909 is declared to be for the education and professional training of teachers for the public schools of the state, in a broader sense, it's truly interested in making life better and in improving the living conditions throughout the territory that universities were established to serve. This legacy of stewardship of place, a legacy of stewardship of place, remains steadfast, and we're annually recognized in the President's Higher Education Community Service Honor Roll. Since that honor roll was established in 2006, we've been recognized every single year. That is an amazing accomplishment and a testament to the vision of our faculty and staff to serve the people of East Tennessee. During this past year, 4,340 of our students volunteered over 110,000 service hours, and our service learning program has established partnerships with over 180 community organizations. The force behind this work is you, our faculty. In his work, William notes that we have a history of outstanding faculty, and our initial group of educators were, quote unquote, a surprisingly cosmopolitan group. When I read that, it made me smile, and when I say that, it makes me smile. They held degrees from institutions such as Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and Columbia University. These faculty established a tradition of excellence in teaching at our institution, a tradition that continues more than 100 years later. Our faculty excel in everything that they do. They excel in the classroom, they excel in public service, and they excel in research. During the 2013-14 academic year, our faculty brought more than $38 million in externally sponsored research to East Tennessee State University. Faculty such as Dr. Shannon Ross Sheehy, a member of our psychology department, received funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to support her work in studying infant visual patterns. Dr. John Moorman and Dr. John Yao secured a $1.8 million NIH grant to support their research focused upon aging T cells in patients with chronic viral infections. These faculty and countless others are actively engaged in research that is focused upon the social, political, educational, and healthcare challenges that face our region. Our faculty also have a tradition of engagement with our students. As I looked back upon Williams's work, I was struck by one of our earliest organizations, one of the earliest committees on campus. It was the Committee on Housing. And as I read through the story of the Committee on Housing, I was struck by the work that our faculty did from the onset to ensure that our students were successful in the classroom and in the community. Members of this committee met incoming students on trains and routed them to their housing accommodations throughout the area. They regularly checked with the landladies on the study habits and social activities of our resident students. This committee was actively engaged in ensuring that their students were successful and made it their priority to ensure that students were engaged inside and outside of the classroom. And I'm not suggesting that anyone in the room meet our incoming students on trains and shepherd them to halls across the community, but I am suggesting strongly that our faculty carry forward this tradition of service to our students. Individuals such as Dr. Chris Dula, who hosts seminars for students throughout the semester on study habits, test anxiety, and career placement, are legends on this campus. There's people like Dr. Susan Epps, who's a tireless advocate for our student athletes and who attends nearly every athletic event to show her support. There's Dr. Virginia Foley, who's chaired more than 40 doctoral dissertations to completion since she arrived here in 2007, and she presents a book called Shaping School Culture to each of her graduates when he or she becomes a school principal. As we've evolved from a teacher's college into a modern university, we were able to anticipate the changing demands placed upon our faculty. The late 1960s were a tumultuous time in America and a challenging time for the academy. Outside of the social and political landscape, great changes were occurring across the policy network as the Tennessee Higher Education was established in the state of Tennessee. In the late 1960s, President D.P. Culp and a group of faculty set forward to establish a vision for the institution. They conducted statistical analysis, held forums with the community, and framed a vision that called for diversification of our mission, anticipated growth and expansion, and called for the expansion of community services, non-credit courses, and other instructional media that would meet the needs of the changing student population. Dr. Culp envisioned strong athletic programs that would enhance alumni and community engagement, and he called for the enhancement of graduate education, noting that programs in education, biology, nursing, chemistry, and countless others would be poised to turn out PhDs. Furthermore, his committee outlined the need to implement an ambitious research agenda for the university. While state leaders in THEC did not concur with Dr. Culp's vision, in fact, he was on the right side of history as we ultimately grew to have doctoral programs, to have an expanded health sciences and professional program. He established a College of Medicine, and we've grown to the enrollment goal that the state said was unrealistic. That is a goal of more than 14,000 students enrolled in our university. The purpose of this walk down memory lane is to outline the fact that our institution has historically looked beyond the present to outline bold visions and big dreams. As we look to develop our 2000 to 15-20 strategic plan, I trust that we will be as bold as our predecessors, for we must not be constrained by the uncertain winds of state and federal funding. More than 20 years ago, 60 cents on the dollar of what it took to run this institution was provided by the taxpayers of the state of Tennessee. Today, less than 25% of such revenues are derived from state sources. In less than a generation, higher education has gone from a public good to a private good, as the populace has focused more on the direct economic benefits that accrue to graduates than the broader benefits that accrue to the population as a whole. As an institution, we can lament this change, or we can recognize that the ground rules have been permanently repositioned, and we can take dedicated steps to adjust the operating paradigm of our university to align with today's realities. A central element of this new reality is the important role that our Alumni Association and the Foundation play in enhancing support for the work of our faculty and students. Our alumni and friends are supporting this institution like never before. During the 2013-14 calendar year, our alumni giving increased over prior year comparisons. Our foundation has also significantly increased the amount of revenue raised to support the operations of the university. As of December 14th of this past year, we raised $7.6 million, which represents a $4.12 million increase over prior year totals. That translates to a 116% increase in private giving to the university. The culmination of these efforts is apparent in the total value of the ETSU Foundation, which in December 13th, 2014 2015 was well over $115 million, which is 10% above prior year comparisons. As you can see, the result of our enhanced engagement with alumni and friends is evident through the augmented financial support for our institution. The impact of this support is directly felt by our students. And as I look back upon this impact, I reflect upon the words of Matt Pinkarina. Matt was part of our Roan Scholars Program, and in a senior reflection letter, he wrote how the Roan program changed the course of his life. Matt said that through the Roan, he learned that great lives are lived not by themselves, but in community. Matt is now a vice president for a local company and is returning the gifts he received through the generosity of those who created and supported the Roan by being involved in the community. I also think of students like Jerry Heron, a young man from Memphis who's majoring in business management. Thanks to the support of donors, he found himself part of our ETSU at Roan program, and he describes his experiences in Rome as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something that transformed his horizons and changed the way he looked at the world. Students all across our campus are supported by benefactors as they study abroad, and study abroad is one of the hallmarks of our institution. Our students come to ETSU determined not to let any obstacle or adversity stand in the way of reaching their goals. This reminds me of the story of one of our recent graduates, LaTanya Wells, who everyone knows as Angel. She dropped out of college at the age of 16 because of financial issues. She spent the next several years working to pay off debts, and in the meantime, she was married and had 2 children, one of whom was born with cerebral palsy. Despite the trials and tribulations of daily life, she came to ETSU at age 34 with the dream of becoming a nurse. She ultimately was elected president of her class and graduated with honors this past December. Each of these students realized their dreams because of the support of others, whose generosity provides scholarships, endowments, and supports capital construction across our campus. Our ability to realize our mission goals is enhanced by the philanthropic work of the entire university. And I want to take a moment to thank the 511 members of the ETSU family who contributed more than $450,000 over the past year to the institution. That represents 9.3% of our total donors. These contributions exemplify the values of the ETSU family and solidify our faculty's commitment to the future of the institution. The stories of our students, the 3 that I've mentioned, and the 14,700 others who call ETSU home, are a reminder of why we do the things that we do. Every day when we get up and come to our classrooms, when we go to work in our offices, when we take time away from our families, we do so because of our love of our students. Students are why we're here. Students are the things that keep us going each day, and I'm proud to be a part of an institution that puts students first. As we embark upon the 2015 calendar year, we are working in an environment defined by change. In particular, we are working in environments defined by the paradigm of Complete College Tennessee. Complete College Tennessee sets the conversations that we will have in the coming years about what that paradigm means for our university. Change isn't easy, but throughout our history, we've weathered our fair share of adversity, and we did so by embracing change. When the GI Bill was introduced, there were many who were concerned about what this would mean for ETSU. When the community colleges were established, there were many on this campus who felt that would be the death of 4-year institutions. When distance education came into the fold, many in our faculty felt that that would permanently change the way we work with students to the detriment of the institution. And there were some who questioned when the lottery scholarship was created how that would impact student enrollment. But with each change in the state policy agenda, we adjusted course and grew. In fact, I'd say we thrived. With our willful independence, we moved forward. The conversations about Tennessee Promise are no different. As a campus, we will work through the uncertainties of Promise. Promise means that we have to take aggressive steps to strengthen our enrollment picture. It means we have to ensure that students understand the value of a university experience, that they understand the value of a university experience because it is different than the experience at a college. College transforms individuals. Great universities transform communities. And if you had the chance today to listen to Pete Peterson provide the State of the City address, Mr. Peterson talked at length about the transformative impact that this great university has had on our community. We need to talk about the things that make us unique, our small class size, our focus on undergraduate research, the quality of our faculty, our commitment commitment to study abroad, and our scholarship opportunities for both in-state and out-of-state students. But these are things we should be doing with or without promise. Over the course of the past 3 months, I've had the opportunity to visit high schools from Mountain City to Strawberry Plains. During this calendar year, I visited high schools in Western North Carolina, and this week I've been in South Carolina. As I meet with principals and counselors and students as we host events at Shellbridge, I hear from students who are excited about our university, who are enthralled with our mission, who know the great research that occurs in our labs and in your classroom settings. They want to be at a university setting. This is a great institution. This is a great institution, and it's time that we step forward and define for the people of the state of Tennessee what it means to attend a university. Over the past year, we've transformed our visual identity in an effort to enhance awareness of the world-class education that's available here. Many people have asked me what the E stands for. It's pretty clear. It stands for excellence. Excellence in everything we do. Excellence in teaching, excellence in student success, excellence in research, excellence in community outreach, and excellence in the classroom. I submit that if we create a university culture defined by excellence, we will move past the inherent tensions of our access orientation and embrace the teaching and research embedded in our mission of stewardship of place. Throughout my travels across the region, I'm reminded that East Tennesseans are hardworking, family-oriented, humble, and modest. We don't stand down from a fight. One of the things that Dr. Nix loves to remind me of is people in East Tennessee do not stand down from a fight, but they come together for a single purpose. And I contend that the single purpose that we need to come together for is to shine a bright spotlight on the quality of our university. For too long, we've been in the shadows, and it's time that all of us step forward and embrace the community, embrace the region, and spotlight our points of excellence. For example, did you know that our Quillen College of Medicine is annually ranked in the top 10 of the U.S. News and World Report for its placement of students and the emphasis on rural and family practice? This year we were ranked 6th. Did you know that the percentage of courses at ETSU taught by tenure-track faculty, as well as our small class sizes, provides a distinct advantage over our peer institutions? Did you know that students from the Gatton College of Pharmacy were national champs in a clinical pharmacy challenge competition? National champs for a College of Pharmacy that will celebrate its 10th anniversary this year. See, Pete got me there. I had a chance, I talked with the dean prior to coming in, and I asked him a question, and I said, I've got to expunge a comment that the city manager made. Clearly, that was not expunged from my memory. Did you know that our digital media program was ranked in the top 20 of the best animation programs in the South by Animation Career Review? Did you know that the number of applications to East Tennessee State University for the freshman class in the fall of 2015 is up 17% over this time last year? Did you know that we have the largest college of nursing in the state? Did you know that we've been selected as one of the top universities nationally for pre-medicine, putting us in the field of little old schools like Cornell, Dartmouth, Georgetown, and Johns Hopkins? Did you know that our innovation laboratory was one of 26 incubators worldwide to receive the Soft Landings International Incubator designation from the Incubators Association, an honor which recognizes our many services to non-domestic firms and our demonstrated excellence for helping firms enter the U.S. market? Did you know that through our Downtown Day Center, we've been providing health care and other services to the homeless for more than a quarter century? Did you know that the number of students who graduate with debt from our university is lower than the state average? Did you know that the incoming fall freshman class in the Honors College had an average ACT score of 32, and that applications for next fall's class are up 20%. I have the pleasure of walking through a similar process of Did You Knows every time that I meet with community groups, Rotary clubs, high schools, etc. When I talk about flying the Olympic flag over the dome, because this is where U.S. place Olympic athletes are trained, people's eyes light up. When I talk to high school students about Wiz Khalifa being on campus, they get excited. And this year, I think we're bringing T-Pain to campus. This is an institution that across the board has points of excellence in student service, in academic success, and in the things that happen in your classroom. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we shine a bright spotlight on that quality and on that excellence. We must recognize that we're in a competition for students, for resources, for market, for prestige and funding. I believe in you, and I believe in our university. There are few institutions that have the impact on communities that we do at ETSU. One of the things that I love to reflect upon is our impact on the community as a whole. You can enter the world at the hands of an ETSU physician, are cared for by a nurse who was trained by our faculty. You then attend preschool at Little Bucks, enroll at the university school as a kindergarten, move through the university school, graduate, and enter East Tennessee State University. You major in business, you receive your MBA, and then through the iLab, you receive support in starting your small business. You contribute to the institution, you contribute to the community, you become an active alum. And when you exit this world, at whose hands do you exit? Ours, because we run the morgue. There's not any university in the South, there's not any university that I'm aware of that has that impact. One of the things that folks question me about is our regional mission. I believe in our regional mission. It's a mission of regional stewardship. Our work in the classroom, our work in research settings, the things that you do every day make this region a wonderful place to live, work, and play. We need to embrace our mission of regional stewardship and continue to move forward in transforming the lives of the people of our region. This is going to be a very, very challenging year for the university, but challenging in a positive way. In this year, we will make investments in our faculty, as well as their classrooms and research labs. We will make investments in salary equity for the 2015-16 academic year. I cannot, at this point in time, declare the depth of those investments. We're still waiting to see the governor's budget. But irrespective of budget outcomes, we will invest in faculty and staff equity. In the very near future, we will build new classrooms and renovate research labs. We will break ground on the Fine and Performing Arts Center. We will also make investments in the activity that occurs in both classrooms and research settings. This will include the immediate restoration of cuts to our RDC program, and I thank Dr. David Hurley for his leadership of the RDC Small Grants Program. Speaking of research, the committee led by Dr. Rob Pack is coming close to completing their work and will hold public fora across the campus early in the spring semester to gather feedback. The outcome of their work will inform the 2000 to 15-20 strategic master plan for the institution and will solidify our investments in research moving forward. In the time that I have left today, I'd like to walk through a few initiatives and provide updates on things that you can expect to see throughout the semester. The first relates to budgets. Over the course of the past 18 months, we as a campus have spent some considerable time and effort researching new governance and budgeting structures for our university. This has not simply been a paper shuffling operation. Our intent is to create a decentralized budget process that will empower faculty, that will empower our deans and department chairs, and provide all of these individuals with the opportunities to maximize their potential. In the coming weeks, Dr. Larry Calhoun, who has chaired the committee examining the budget structure of our university, will hold open forums across campus to seek feedback and input regarding their recommendations. From this feedback, we will refine the report, and we will move forward with new processes and interim governance structures that will provide a foundation for excellence at the university. We will also launch a new strategic planning process. The strategic planning process will be informed by the work of the Budget Committee, and our planning goals will closely link to budgetary outcomes. In the paradigm defined by Complete College Tennessee, strategic plans and budgets can no longer exist in isolation. They must come together, and through the combination of planning and budgeting and through the decentralization of the process, I truly believe that we will empower our faculty. We will also examine the structure of OIT. In recent months, I've met with departments and colleges, and I've heard their concerns about the challenges regarding technology across campus. I've listened very closely and invite others to share your feedback with me regarding how we might restructure OIT and all technology services. I'll be making a decision in the coming weeks regarding the structure, but a clear message that I've heard is the need to infuse teaching, research, and service into technology. I've also heard that we need to improve customer service. I'm listening, I'll continue to listen, but I will make a decision in the next couple of weeks regarding the future of OIT. The next thing that we need to do during the current year is to cut blue tape. Some folks call it red tape, I call it blue, but we're going to cut blue tape. It's infuriating to me when I ask a question why something exists, and they say, well, that's the way it's always been done. From top to bottom, we must make it easier for people to do their jobs. My next update relates to issues surrounding sexual assault on campus. Last summer, we made an intentional decision to have an expanded approach to notifying our students, faculty, and staff about sexual assaults that were reported on our campus. We know that on every college campus across the nation, sexual assaults are a vastly underreported crime. During the fall 2014 semester, you received safety notices regarding 4 sexual assaults that had been reported on our campus. These notices were designed to enhance awareness on safety education, risk reduction, and reporting options, as well as to provide information about the specific incident. These notices were part of a holistic and comprehensive plan and a proactive approach regarding sexual violence on campus. This past weekend, hundreds, in fact more than 1,000 students attended a presentation by Jackson Katz, an activist and leader in the field of bystander intervention. His talk was a kickoff to a host of other programs and activities that will take place this semester regarding the topic of violence prevention, and invite each of you to be a part of that conversation. For those of you who were there, it was a magical evening. I've never seen that many students in the Culp Auditorium. That signifies to me that our students are taking this seriously, that they see the changes we've made as an opportunity to take leadership and to change culture, and I encourage our faculty to become a part of that conversation. Other conversations that we'll have in 2015 regard our Multicultural Center. I want to thank Dr. Joe Sherlin and Mary Jordan for their leadership. We will begin renovations on the Multicultural Center this spring, and the center will serve as a home for diversity-related issues. I'm pleased today to announce the launch of the ETSU Presidential Fellows Program for faculty and staff who desire to expand their knowledge and experience in academic leadership. This program strengthens shared governance. Applications will soon be available, and they'll be due in March. Our fellows will be announced in May and will begin their work later this year. This fellows program will be modeled after other programs nationally, such as ACE, but it provides an opportunity for our faculty and staff to be embedded in the administrative work of our institution. My next update relates to the Arts Center. We're a few days shy of the launch, the second anniversary of the launch of the Arts Initiative. We're also less than a couple weeks out from the governor's state address. To date, we've raised more than $8 million to fund a more than 30-year dream of a home for the arts at ETSU. I want to thank our faculty and staff for their patience as we've moved through this process. In my entire career in higher education, there has been nothing more trying than the process of moving through the design and development of this building. But in the coming weeks, I hope to receive very good news from Nashville, and I hope that this is our year and we're able to move forward with that project. My next update is one that is not altogether as positive. It's one that has kept me up many an evening. I'm deeply concerned about the communication breakdowns that occur across our institution. But as I look back at William's work on the history of our institution, this isn't a new challenge. As William notes in his reflection of the Culp administration, Dr. Culp was concerned about poor communication between faculty and administration. It was from those concerns that we created the Faculty Senate on December 4th, 1974. While the development of the Senate was not without incident, the bold steps taken to create a system of shared governance has created a culture that has benefited our institution. One could argue that all administrations have a tendency to become insular over time. I stand before you today to give you my word that we will break down barriers related to communication, that we will take thoughtful and deliberate steps to open lines of communication across campus, and to deepen the spirit of shared governance and shared decision-making to empower our faculty. Transparency and open communication are not just my responsibility. It is on everyone. It's on everyone in this room, and it is something for which I will hold our administration and our deans accountable. In the spirit of communication, each of you should have received today this report. It's a report called A Year of Engagement. It's a review of the accomplishments of our institution in 2014. It highlights and it clearly communicates the many success stories of ETSU. You can also find a link to the report on the website. Before bringing today's address to a close, I want to thank and acknowledge those faculty and staff whose careers at ETSU come to a close this year. They're leaving big shoes to fill. They're people like Dr. Sally Lee, who worked in our Student Affairs Division for 37 years. I think of people like Dr. Frosty Levy, a respected biologist who built our undergraduate research program for the Honors College. And then there's Dr. Don Johnson, a renowned poet who served as Dean of Arts and Sciences and is the poet in residence for our Department of Literature and Language. These individuals and many others who retire this year leave behind great legacies, and their impact will forever be remembered by their students and the entire ETSU family. During their service to our university, we grew in size, stature, and reputation. We created new colleges, we built libraries and instructional space, and we evolved into a modern comprehensive university that for all intensive purposes is the land-grant for Appalachia. These members of the ETSU family were catalysts for change, and I hope that we can keep their legacy of service with us as we embark upon the journey ahead. I believe that together we can achieve whatever we set out to do. And I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work with each of you throughout the remainder of the academic year and onward. I hope that we can continue our conversations about the past, the present, and the future of our university as we move forward. We all have been provided with wonderful gifts, and that's the gifts to work with students. Students enter your classroom with minds open. Students enter your classroom with energy. Students enter your classroom with dreams, dreams to realize a better future for themselves and their family. I thank you for changing the dreams of the people around the region and for elevating those dreams to dream the impossible. And in the spirit of opening communication, something I don't think we've ever done in a State of the University address, I open the floor to questions. Questions? 17% increase in applications for our freshman class year to year over date. That's with promise. We're being aggressive. As we've discussed on a number of occasions, we're changing the way in which we market the institution. We've launched direct mail campaigns to students. We've eased the application process for prospective students. We're visiting high schools. We're rolling up our sleeves and getting to work. That's both us as well as our faculty and staff. So while I cannot indicate what our yield rate will be, and our yield rate may or may not be comparable to what it's been in the past, I feel that that increase in applications to the institution is reflective of the quality of the educational product that we provide. Other questions? It's cold outside and it's warm in here. Yeah.
More on some of the possibilities for the arts initiative, in particular, the way that all of the arts are going to be represented in that space, the future space?
As we have worked through the design process for the facility, one of the elements that we've wrestled with is the facility when it was originally conceived more than 20 years ago is not possible within the level of funding available at this point in time. Our faculty have worked collaboratively under the leadership of Dean Gordon Anderson to design a building that will be the home for the arts. That building may not have all of the moving parts that we would envision, but it will involve all of the aspects of the arts, from art to theater to music to the chorale to aerial dance. We've moved through the programming phase. I'm hopeful that at some point in the next couple of months, the Board of Regents will release the RFP for design architects, which is when pencil hits the paper. But it will be a building where the spotlight will be on rooms that are not presently available. This room is the home of the Powell Piano Series. This is not a proper room for piano recital. Our students do not have large facilities that are expected for theater and for dance. One of the things that I've been awestruck by in visiting high schools throughout the South is just the quality of their performance space. My father went to Lee Edwards High School, which is now Asheville High School, and he told me stories of this wonderful auditorium. I had the chance last week to see it. It seats 1,200 people. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not a room on our campus that seats 1,200 people. And if we're going to be competitive for students in the arts, we've got to build a building with large spaces that rival what they've had in their period in high school. So there's a lot of work left to be done. Faculty will be engaged as the design process formally evolves, but that building will have gallery space, it'll have large performance space. It's not going to have everything that all of us want, but it is going to be a significant improvement over the facilities that we have, and it's going to be a facility that we'll all be proud of. Other questions? Dr. Van Zandt. I know some of the things we've tried in the fall. I have visited with departments, and I'll continue to visit with departments. I mentioned interim governance structures. As the report from the budgeting committee moves forward, we will examine the governance structures of our institution. You may see us create an interim governance entity that replaces the President's Council, the Monday morning senior leadership meeting, but a body that's much more inclusive and a body that is a decision-making entity rather than an advisory entity. The process of communication is something that occurs one-on-one. It occurs in small groups. It occurs today. I can tell you we're trying, from the notepads piece to trying to be present on campus, and I love the phrase present rather than here. Here means I'm sitting in a chair. Present means I'm part of a conversation. I encourage all of you to be present in conversations throughout this year. We can only improve if we work together. So with respect to my personal streams of communication, I'll continue to meet with departments. I'll continue that process of meeting with faculty, because it's through those conversations that we will inform our institution, inform our decision-making, and evolve together. Other questions? I may turn to someone sitting on the back row to speak to specific programming, but let me talk a little bit about the vision. When I was on campus several decades ago, conducting my doctoral dissertation work on diversity policy across the state of Tennessee, one of the things that I heard in focus groups and individual interviews was the need for a multicultural center on this campus. As we worked through the process of the Committee for 125, one of the items that emerged was once again the solid recognition of a home for the multicultural conversations, dialogue, activities on our campus. The facility will be located in the former home of the Welcome Center in the Culp, prime real estate, but that facility will coordinate a multitude of activities across campus. For specific details, please talk to Dr. Joe Sherlin, who's one of the co-chairs of the committee, who can speak to you about the detailed aspects of programming as well as the construction timeline. Other questions? Yes.
With the emphasis on having a university experience for incoming freshmen and so on, are there any efforts to provide a similar situation for our cohorts and expansion efforts we have. So we have things in Walters State, Sevierville, and Kingsport, and I know they're nice facilities, but are there any deliberate efforts to make the experience for people who attend ETSU exclusively at those sites?
It's a great question, and I cannot speak to the particulars of engagement activities that occur in the downtown site in Kingsport, at Allendale, or in Sevierville. You will see us grow our off-campus presence. We will open a site in Strawberry Plains right outside of Knoxville. So as we look to create a culture that values all of the facets of a university experience here, the point's well taken. We need to ensure that that's diffused across all aspects of the institution, be it in Kingsport, at Allendale, in Mountain City, in Sevierville, or at Strawberry Plains. Other questions? Dr. Dula.
Sex week that we're having in a couple of weeks, largely a student-driven educational program, and they weren't able to secure book funding for a variety of reasons. I understand their own fees and on what they want to spend. And I was wondering, in future situations, other alternative mechanisms that students might use to help secure programming funding for things that are educationally valuable, other than outsourcing, which they did
Yeah, I was going to say our students this year, student leaders who are championing Sex Week, have looked to alternative sources to support the activity. As I look at the conversations that will occur during Sex Week, I've not seen the agenda. I can't speak to all of the things that are planned. But as you look at the topics that at least I've preliminarily been informed of, they're educational.
Absolutely.
They relate to and are very similar to the conversations that we had on campus with Jackson Katz. Joe DiPietro said a couple of things yesterday at THEC. First of all, he said our budget model for higher education is broken. We've recognized that here at our institution for more than 2 years, and Dr. Calhoun's been leading a group to change our process. But the other thing he said is, as a university, they're not going to run from Sex Week. They're going to have conversations about health. They're going to have conversations around sexual violence and domestic assault. They're going to have conversations that improve the lives of their students. So I hope that we have adult conversations on our campus. Now, our campus is a little bit different than Knoxville in that a block away is the university school. And we all need to be mindful of the presence of students in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, et cetera, because our campus by mission is different than Knoxville. But I'm looking forward to seeing the final agenda of activities that are proposed in Sex Week.
You mentioned strategic planning, and I was just wondering, I didn't hear mention of the 125 plan as an integral part of that strategic planning as well.
Andrew, great question. The work of the Committee for 125 provides the foundation of our strategic planning process from 2015 to 2020. We held public forums. We conducted market surveys. We engaged in a more than a year-long process of visioning for the institution, of dreaming big dreams. That'll provide the foundation of the master plan. What I'm waiting for is the work of Dr. Pack's committee and Dr. Calhoun's committee to move forward, because a clear message in the work of the Committee for 125 is that planning and budgeting can no longer exist in isolation. The two need to come together. We may, as a university, need to address and change some of our governance processes to support that strategic planning effort, but I want to wait in anticipation of the report from Dr. Calhoun before we move forward. But 125 provides the foundation for our strategic planning process. Other questions? I heard a rumor today as I was driving into work that we're going to play UT in football in 2018. So I'll just address the question now. I've not signed a contract, but I have heard the rumors, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves. Other questions? Dr. Weiss.
Yeah, you mentioned, and you've talked about this before, this program to have faculty members spend a couple years in administrative roles. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, as a chair, how that's going to impact us when we need to have those courses taught by that faculty member. Are we going to be given funding to hire someone with the same or high quality individuals to teach those classes, or are we going to have to rely on our part-time faculty to teach it? Like, how does that play out for us department chairs who are trying to give our students an excellent education with researchers who then maybe are out of the department for a couple of years?
That's a great question, and the response to your question will be dependent upon a form of the fellowship that the fellow pursues. So, for example, in the ACE Fellowship, there are options for part-time placements in which a faculty member will spend a couple of weeks at an institution, then return to her home institution, and that will transition throughout the year. We will ensure that departments are made whole if you have a faculty member who is selected as a fellow, but much of the financial compensation will be dependent upon the fellowship option that that individual selects, as well as the background from which they transition into the position of being a fellow. This is something that is open to faculty and others across the institution, and we need to ensure that as we provide this opportunity, that we do not take action to the detriment of the departments. Dr. Spritzer.
Yes, could you comment on the projected impact of athletic programs on the future of ETSU as we see in our plans?
We mentioned today a university strategic planning process. Our athletic department is going and will continue to go through a similar strategic planning process. I'm going to answer your question in a couple of ways because we could have a graduate seminar on athletics and education. The world of athletics is changing. The action taken by the NCAA earlier this month to provide autonomy to the Power 5 conferences will have ripple effects across all levels. Autonomy provides for total cost of attendance scholarships for students. Autonomy provides travel expenses. Autonomy is essentially the opportunity for schools like Texas with their own television networks to support their students in ways that other institutions cannot. As we examine the impact of those changes on the institution, we're going to have to look at revenues and expenditures. I pledged to the faculty when we launched football that we would not dip into the funds that we could have spent on athletics, but we have historically not invested. So we were below the TBR mandatory cap in terms of the percent of base budgets that we could expend on athletics. We're not going to dip into that fund. We have not dipped into that fund. The program that we've set aside is different than the way athletics were run at the institution 20 years ago. But as I look at athletics, it's more than just competition on the playing field. I think one of the reasons why our alumni giving rates are up, one of the reasons why you see the sales of ETSU products tripling over prior years is because folks are excited about the return to the Southern Conference. I had the chance last night to be with a group of alumni in Greenville, alumni who are reconnecting with the institution. But the thing that I'm most proud of with respect to our student athletes is their excellence in the classroom. The GPA of our student athletes is above that of the population as a whole. I remember a couple years ago I met with Coach Sattini, and every member of his tennis team was either in the Honors College or in the Honors in Discipline. So as I reflect upon our athletic program at the institution, I'm proud of their accomplishments in the classroom, but I look with uncertainty, as we all do, around the impact that the changes at the NCAA level will have on us, other schools in the SoCon, and if I were at an institution located in the Sun Belt or other mid-tier conferences that play at the D1 level, you're going to see institutions dropping sports. Chattanooga earlier this week dropped their track program. These are going to be challenging conversations that the Academy as a whole has around available revenues and investments in our student athletes. Did I answer your question? No? Okay. I tried. Let's take another crack at it.
Yeah, if one of our goals is the growth and development of ETSU as a comprehensive institution, to what extent will the return of football and the enhancement of our athletic programs and the success have a positive impact upon the institution in the years ahead?
I think as you look at the diversity of opportunities that we provide to our students, opportunities for study abroad, opportunities to work with our faculty in the classroom, opportunities to engage in undergraduate research, opportunities to be a part of conversations like that with Dr. Jackson Katz the other night, athletics is part of that portfolio of options that we provide to students. As you talk to students across the region, and I've spent a lot of time talking to high school students, there's nothing more intimidating than standing in front of 600 high school seniors and trying to keep them captivated for 20 minutes. It's a lot of fun. They're excited about football. They're really excited about marching band. They're excited to have the same options available to them here that they would at Chattanooga or at Austin Peay or at Tennessee Tech or at Appalachian State. The market for students is competitive. There's no other way to say it. What brings students to an institution is the quality of the faculty. The faculty are the element that students connect to. When I talked to alums the other night, they didn't talk about games or concerts. They talked about faculty members. One of them even told the story of having a crush on a faculty member. But they remember our faculty. So despite all of the things that we're putting into play as an institution, from logos on down the line, the reason why I announced today that we're investing in equity is because the faculty are the soul of the university, and we have to invest across the board. Did I answer it that time? Okay. Dr. Boner. Dr. Boner, you were in my speech, but you didn't make the cut.
I know, I got here too late, sorry. I just have a question about, and I walked in right about the moment of the faculty salary equity thing, and so I did hear just a brief part of that, so forgive me if I'm asking you to repeat something, but has there been much discussion about adjunct pay rates? Some departments, such as mine, it's been difficult because we use so many adjuncts, and the base rate has been the same for more than 10 years. So with salary equity in mind, are adjuncts and lecture positions being considered?
Before answering your question, let me pull the section of the speech that I wrote. So in discussing the impact that alumni and donors have on the institution, one of the stories that I had told was yours, of coming to the university as a Powell Scholar, of studying at ETSU, and through the investments that individuals across the region have made, you've moved into a position in which you have the opportunity to return those investments to our students. So I thank you for what you've done, and I thank you for taking the chance as an undergrad on our university. With respect to salary equity, the equity plan that is in place, the equity plan that we've utilized 2 out of the past 3 years when we've provided equity enhancements, is a plan that was approved by the Faculty Senate. In the spirit of shared governance, I think we need to reconvene the Equity Committee, but I cannot supersede the decisions that were made by the Faculty Senate. I think collectively we need to have a conversation around equity, and I look forward to working with your colleagues in the Faculty Senate in that process. Other questions? Well, I thank you all for being a part of a conversation this afternoon, and I thank you for allowing me to take a different turn. I'm sincere about my desire to open communication across campus. Change is difficult, and I recognize that at times communication is code word for we don't like change. But ladies and gentlemen, change is occurring around us. The budget paradigm for higher education has fundamentally adjusted, and it's not going to go back. It pains me as a public higher education person to say that. I've been a system chancellor. So for a system chancellor to stand before you and say, we must forge private answers to public decisions is hard to say, but it's the reality. Finding those solutions is going to be dependent upon working together, and I thank you for coming together today as a faculty to have a conversation. Within the spirit of engagement, please take time to get involved this weekend across campus. Go watch the band competition. Go watch the Lady Bucks basketball team tomorrow. Coach Ezell has a fantastic team, undefeated in the Southern Conference. Come watch my son's Little League game tomorrow. But get engaged with this institution. Individuals in this room do that on a daily basis. As I look from the back row to the front row, you all are leaders of this campus. You're leaders in administration, you're leaders in faculty, you're leaders in staff. You're here because you care. I thank you for caring about the past, the present, and the future of the institution, and I look forward to working with you in the months and years to come. Godspeed, everybody. Have a good weekend and stay warm.